Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for still being here and kindly please be seated. We are so ready to start with our next session. So there is a lot of networking going on, but it's okay. We can continue with our next session. So this is our last plenary session today, and we'll discuss how stakeholders address emission issues, secure energy, and deliver it affordably and sustainably to the market. Now, over the past 5 years, GOI has set an aspiration for Indonesia to achieve 1 million BOPD of oil and 12 BSCFD of, I repeat that, 12 BSCFD for gas production by 2030. Now, the government of Indonesia has made great efforts to improve investment climate by issuing supportive policies. However, though, the oil and gas industry continues to see business challenges because not all discoveries are advantaged resources. So this is where the government can help to unlock these resources and speed up development, particularly in this energy transition era. And with all of these points in mind, we expect that the speakers today in the next session will further deepen our knowledge in regard of improving production and tackling decarbonization challenges. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let us see a short video on the topic first.
Oil and gas industry transformation to support achieving 1 million BOPD and 12 BSCFD gas by 2030 and longer-term decarbonization target. Kebutuhan energi yang tinggi membuat pemerintah Indonesia bersemangat untuk mengejar target produksi minyak bumi 1 juta barel per hari dan 12 billion standard cubic feet per hari gas bumi pada 2030. Kementerian ESDM menyebutkan ada 68 potensi cekungan yang belum dieksplorasi. Seperti negara lainnya, Indonesia sedang menghadapi trilema energi, yakni melakukan dekarbonisasi sesuai dengan target net zero emission di tahun 2060, mengamankan ketersediaan energi, dan menyediakan energi dengan harga terjangkau. Hal tersebut perlu mendapat perhatian pemerintah dalam rangka pembuatan kebijakan, sehingga penemuan migas dari eksplorasi dapat berlanjut menjadi produksi. Untuk menghadapi trilema energi, diperlukan adanya kolaborasi yang aktif dari seluruh pihak, baik domestik maupun internasional. Tak hanya itu, pemerintah juga telah melakukan beberapa terobosan, seperti fleksibilitas kontrak kerjasama, perbaikan terms and condition bid round, insentif fiskal dan non-fiskal, perbaikan pengajuan izin yang diperlukan. Selain itu, pemerintah juga melakukan usaha optimalisasi produksi lapangan, mempercepat transformasi dari sumber daya menjadi produksi, dan penggunaan teknologi EOR, mendorong eksplorasi migas, serta mempercepat perizinan melalui One Door Service Policy. Pemerintah juga secara progresif menerbitkan peraturan-peraturan terkait CCS-CCUS sebagai upaya mendukung investasi dan dekarbonisasi sektor migas dan non-migas. Upaya ini memaksimalkan peran sektor migas untuk penyimpanan karbon baik domestik maupun lintas negara. Penemuan gas di lapangan Geng North oleh KKKS-NI dan di lapangan South Andaman oleh KKKS Mubadala Energy merupakan harapan baru bagi ketahanan energi nasional. Oleh karena itu, dibutuhkan upaya percepatan untuk mengembangkan penemuan gas yang berpotensi besar tersebut. Pasalnya, gas bumi sebagai energi fosil yang rendah karbon dapat menjadi kekuatan bagi sektor migas untuk mendukung energi berkelanjutan. Diperlukan sinergi yang berkelanjutan antara pelaku industri dan pemerintah, agar iklim investasi migas dapat terus berkembang guna mencapai target produksi migas nasional dan dekarbonisasi yang ditetapkan.
Yes, so that was the video to just set the base for the next session. So ladies and gentlemen, our next interesting session addresses oil and gas industry transformation to support achieving 1 million BOPD and 12 BSCFD gas by 2030 and longer-term decarbonization targets. All right. right, so those are the set of speakers and moderators. So ladies and gentlemen, before we start, I'd like to remind you once again that we're open for Q&A sessions, and you can simply scan this barcode and find the question box and submit your questions there. All right, for now, I would like to introduce our moderator for the session. He is currently an independent consultant advising government agencies and private companies. He is also a senior practitioner lecturer of the School Business and Management Institut Teknologi Bandung. Beforehand, he holds strategic positions in the Indonesian government, such as the Indonesian governor to OPEC, Board of Commissioner of Pertamina, Special Advisor to Minister of Energy and Mineral Resources, as well as Deputy Chairman of SKK Migas. So without further ado, we welcome to the stage this session's moderator, Bapak Widhyawan Prawiraatmadja.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It is a great pleasure for me. It's really an honor to be here addressing this very prestigious event. I attended for the past maybe more than 15 years annually. Granted that this is going to be rather different because of the challenges being faced by the industry. Our sessions include very prominent panelists. We have people who are responsible in the government or quasi-government, the players represented by two majors, and then an association, IPA, who would also be very well represented. My job is to bridge the discussion so that what there's a saying, it takes two to tango, and what kind of dance and everything else, that we could actually be letting them to say or inform all of us in terms of how the synergy is going to get done, okay? We have a little bit change of way of addressing. Pak Chip and I are discussing earlier, we earlier would like to have the ladies go first, but then we are going to not do that because Pak Chip told me, and I think a lot of the men would probably agree, the men will have to say first so the women can correct us later. Okay, the MC has already introduced us on the topic, right? So to put things in perspective, relevance, and context, I give you three words. The first two we are very all accustomed, and the third one supposed to be by now: oil, gas, carbon, okay? And then for Indonesia, this is really, really important, okay? The previous session mentioned about the trilemma of energy security, sustainability, and affordability. The energy transition that we have to do will very much depend on how the natural gas is going to play a role as the bridging fuel. Natural gas is the cleanest from the fossil fuels, right? So natural gas for us, for Indonesia, is not only for getting things energy-wise delivered, right? But is also for carbon avoidance of not using coal, okay? So meaning that we know what happens with oil, and then the Musri later on will explain to us what would be the perception from the National Energy Council about the energy perspective all the way to 2060, whereby oil is still going to play a role by then. And this is coming from the National Energy Council, right? And then on the natural gas side, this is the short and medium term, perhaps, solutions. I give you an example, the electricity sector. Is it not possible, simply not possible, to switch directly all the way to renewable, right? And then if we cannot really generate electricity from coal, then the only option will be natural gas. And then some of the sessions that we're going to discuss is about that, how to monetize it quickly and everything to achieve this target, okay? And then a lot of the carbon on the for future thing is going to be also depend on the carbon capture and storage. And we're going to spend quite a bit of that also, especially within the strategy of the big players, oil companies. Later on, Carole and Bukati from ExxonMobil and BP respectively will tell us in terms of their strategy, right? In terms of how you actually see and making sure the energy is going to be there, but also they have a mandate for making sure the carbon footprint is going to be, say, reduced from time to time, okay? And then, of course, the question would be whether the government is making it that enough effort-wise from the policy based on evidence in terms of not only making sure all the oil and gas ventures going to be economical and going to be produced based on technical and so on and so forth, but also whether it's going to address the decarbonization issue. Without further ado, we would like to have a keynote speaker here of Pa Chip first to be coming over as the first speaker, and then we're going to have Pa Musri from National Energy Council, and then Pa Dadan as the acting Director General of Oil and Gas, and then Pa Yus, I used to call him Yus, representing IPA. He's the chairman, president of Petronas, of course, but he's going to be speaking here as the IPA representative. And then we're going to have Bu Carole and Ibu Cathy following up, and then we're going to be done by 4 p.m. But Pa Chip will have to leave by 3. So Pa Chip, after his speaking, we're going to have a very short question and answer. And then please, if you have questions, put it on through the, the barcode and everything, right? And then you know what to do. And then the committee will put that for me to see, and then I will try to accommodate many of the questions. And then if there is no question, don't worry. I have plenty of those. All right. So without further ado, let me ask, please come forward for all our panelists, Pa Chip, Pa Musri, Pa Dadan, Pa Yus, Bu Carole, Ibu Cathy, please come forward and join me to sit up front. And round of applause for all those panelists. But Chip, everybody knows, he's a perennial CEO. I mean, he does everything, right? He's all around. And then in sport, he plays tennis, golf, and bicycles. And I think for the expertise, he has a PhD in strategic management. Also, he was heading the cement group of Indonesia, and then he was CEO of Pertamina, where I had the privilege of accompanying him as the board member of the board of commissioner, and of course he's now the chairman of SKK Migas. Pa Chip, floor is yours. Let's give an applause for Pa Chip.
Okay. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, of course, the first that we have Pa Musri, National Energy Council member, Pak Dadan, Kusdiana, Secretary General and Acting Director General of Oil and Gas in the Ministerial Energy and Mineral Resource Office, Honorable Board of Director of Indonesian Petroleum Association, IPA, CEOs and Executive of Oil and Gas Companies, respected organizing committee, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegate and participants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I hope that I can go fast to deliver the message from the government, especially about SKK Migas and all of the activity in the oil and gas industry. First and foremost, I would like to extend my appreciation and gratitude to the committee for hosting this convention exhibition, and I delighted to see these themes gaining momentum to advance sustainable energy security in Indonesia and the region, and it's very highly relevant to the challenges currently faced by this sector. Ladies and gentlemen, as we know that currently oil and gas is in a dynamic and very challenging condition. Geopolitical tension, economic recovery after COVID, energy security and energy affordability is back to be the priority for government worldwide. We can see now that the oil price is remain at a quite high level, which gives momentum, of course, for the exploration and development of future project in oil and gas industry. And I encourage everyone to gain this condition, which probably lasts not so long. So with this regard, today I will briefly talk on transformation progress and what is the next process to gain from the momentum on upstream and oil and gas industry in Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, since 2020, Indonesia's upstream oil and gas industry has launched strategic plan or ROG 4.0 with the objective of production 1 million barrel oil per day and 12 billion cubic per day of gas. Secondly, increasing multiplier effect and ensuring environment sustainability. During this transformation process, we have serious challenge from pandemic COVID-19 and geopolitical tension between Russia and Ukraine that affect mainly restriction on personnel and good movement and cost inflation. This condition have delayed mostly important projects that we have. Furthermore, lack on gas infrastructure development has also hampered gas commercialization on upstream gas and upstream gas development. Moreover, our exploration result, which some are world class, mostly are gas, and therefore our book reserves are dominated by gas. With the regards in terms of current production, we are still behind our long-term production target. Our 2023 oil production was 606,000 barrel oil per day, and gas was 5,373 million standard cubic feet per day, lower than our original long-term planning target, which is 691 barrel oil per day oil, and then 6,382 million cubic feet per day gas. It means for the oil 12% behind, and for the gas 15% behind. Yearly, we review our progress, and based on that, we are still optimistic that our long-term production target is achievable, though may be delayed by 2 years or 3 years. We are optimistic because some of our important milestones are on track on slightly higher than target. This can only happen because our strategic plan has gained significant support from our important stakeholders, especially government. Our first important milestone is investment. 2023 investment is $13.7 billion, which is 13% higher than 2022 and 5% above our long-term planning target. For this year, we forecast the investment will be $17.7 billion, which is 29% increase from 2023 and 11% above long-term plan target. This high investment is supported by massive activities. In 2023, development drilling is 719 wells, which is 5% increase from 2022 and 50% above long-term plan. Whereas 2023, exploration drilling is 38 wells, which is 27% increase from 2022. From this exploration drilling, we found two world-class giant discovery. It is Layaran by Mubadala and Gengnot by Eni. Just last week, Mubadala has discovered another big fish gas field. I hope it will complement our big leap to future development in Andaman cluster. Though our in transformation progress, we could accelerate the process from resource to production. Therefore, we will fast track Gengnot and Andaman project development, as also done in another several projects for the last few years. It is Eni Marrakesh, Jangkrik. It is 4 to 6 years. And it's much faster from the past that of average we got 10 to 11 years, even longer for Abadi Masela project with many challenges happen in the past. And it is faster than global average of time to production, which is 6.7 years. Now we are come to better than global average. Lastly, to sustain our production, since 2018, reserve to production ratio is higher than 100%. So in the future, we need to book more oil reserve. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates and participants, this massive investment and activities can only happen with government support in all stages. First, to invite investor to new blocks. Data access and quality has been improved, and moreover, preliminary evaluation on open area and discover resources opportunity is provided. To acquire block, investor can go through joint study or bid round and bidding round scheme is more attractive with competitive working commitment. I don't mention about signature bonus, because this morning Pak Menteri has already criticized about this one. Second, to improve field development economics, the government has provided many incentives such as fiscal scheme flexibility, lower tax rate, reduce or shareable FTP, depreciation acceleration, BSC extension, investment credit, and split, and so on. Lastly, to sustain environment, upstream industry has launched low carbon initiative which cover action plans such as energy management, zero routine flaring, vegetative emission, reforestation, CCS, CCUS, and regulation. To increase investment climate and provide assurance on CCS, CCUS business, government has launched presidential decree and ministerial decree on CCUS as mentioned in the morning. Ladies and gentlemen, in the future, oil and gas is still important to support Indonesia and region economic growth, and therefore we will continue our transformation journey. SKK Migas will further enhance alignment with all stakeholders, particularly related ministries, and to increase ease of doing business and to provide fiscal incentive for a better investment climate. We invite oil companies and investors to acquire more prolific blocks, target giant exploration, and maximize economic recovery from Indonesia exciting portfolio. Thank you for having us here, and we wish for an insightful discussion ahead. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Pak Chip. The question's going to come to you for sure, of course. We know Pak Chip is also a musician, so he's been hitting the right notes. But the question is that how to enhance this, Pak? in terms of, because it is not business as usual, right, Pa? And you've been telling about all these business transformations been done in SKK Migas. So the question is, how are we going to make sure that the monetization of gas could be expedited, because the demand is there, and this is going to be the solution to the country energy needs, and also in terms of the aspirations of these players to make sure that the CES can be implemented seamlessly while actually they are delivering all the hydrocarbons. What would you see the enhanced role of SKK Migas to accommodate that?
Yes, actually, transformation we proceed. Of course, that's always happen step by step. And in this position regarding the question from the moderator, please come to SKK discussing about the monetization, because I want to my team that SKK Migas should be take a role to help the contractor, investor, how to monetize. Of course, SKK Migas should be know better than all of the investor how to monetize, especially domestically. We have a guest forum that maybe in the beginning of June we will do in West Java, because as you know that currently West Java was deficit supply of gas a lot. We supply this area with the gas from Sumatra, with a lot of LNG and etc. While in the same time currently we offer production in East Java. In East Java, I think more than 150 million cubic feet per day is not monetized. Even that the production facility is ready to produce more than compared to current lifting is more than 150 million cubic feet per day. While also in Natuna we have more 100 million cubic feet per day is not monetized. We can't lifting this amount because of lack of infrastructure. The lack of construct infrastructure from Semarang to Cirebon make this problem happen currently. A lot of plan of development in East Java we have not executed yet because of the question is monetization. So we do hope that cooperation between all of parties in Indonesia in the future, we can promote better on getting support in infrastructure, especially on gas. It's already indicated by Minister Office, and we hope that the end of next year, the Semarang Cirebon will connect it. So if we have plan of development that need 2 years, I encourage to the contractor in Jawa Timur, please start it now, because the end of next year, this is already connected. As well as connected between Dume and Semangke. That will be also anticipate the production from Andaman, the huge potential in Andaman to commercialize, whether in Sumatra, West Java, also connected to Singapore and etc. So all things, the mapping and the arrangement, how to, in the past, all of the contractor looking by himself to the buyer, which one, and buyer also the industry looking the contractor which one has more production. But now, please all come to SKK Migas. The upstream player, we have to look for the buyer, and the industry, we help them to get supply, the near supplier from their industry. I think we do hope with the gas forum that we have, all will be connected. Now we are start to have a meeting between producer of gas in East Java with the industry in West Java to start discussing about how to have this supply on 2026. Thank you.
Would you address the CCS part, Pak?
CCS, yes. Actually, currently CCS, we just see that this is this additional of the capex, but actually we know that this is the future business for Indonesia. But currently we have not start to show in the feasibility study, in the economic review of the project, because we still do not know what is the regulation and what is the situation in the global in the future. What is the cost for taking care about CO2 to bring from industry to this project. That's the first. We are talking about a global situation, and the second, of course, we are waiting government policy. If we have project like in Papua, UCC, and also in Abadi Masela and in Sakakemang that now already implement CCS CCUS project, is what is the percentage for the domestic and what is the percentage from global market of CO2. Thank you.
Thank you. Unfortunately, Pak Soetjipto will have to leave us. So good luck with whatever you need to do, Pak Chip. Wish us well here. Thank you, Pak Chip. Okay, let's us to proceed. We're gonna have the first speaker. So all the speakers, the panelists will give a presentation for maximum 10 minutes, and then we'll have all the Q&A later after all the speakers delivering their speeches. Okay, Pak Musri, please take your place over there. Pak Musri is the true academician, professors, but he's not currently the member of National Energy Council. Pak Musri is a geologist by training from Universitas Hasanuddin, and his master's and PhD is from Institut Teknologi Bandung. And join me in welcoming Pak Musri to deliver his speech.
Thank you, Moderator. Distinguished all speakers, especially President of IPA, and also all audience, and today attend here also from then I have colleague two person, Dr. Dina and Agus Pram, and also before Pak Satya. This session Pak Satya actually forgive this presentation, but because have and right now Pak Satya and the committee, they give me for give this presentation. National Energy Council right now still prepare new regulation about RPP for change RPP number 79 2014, and right now still harmonized today, harmonized for finalize RPP. We have 3 goals for new national energy policy and 10 strategy. The first goal is to achieve decarbonized yet secure energy system and affordable energy price to fulfill a rational national energy demand in order to reach Human Development Index target and become developing country before 2045. and 3, to achieve low carbon energy system in order to support government commitment to reach net zero emission by 2060. And 10 strategy, number 1, to control population growth in order to minimize energy consumption in the long run, and 2, to decrease energy intensity, 3, to fulfill energy demand in order to achieve Human Development Index and high economic growth, 4, to conserve energy in demand side management, and 5, to carry out energy efficiency program in demand and supply side. 6, to increase electrification in all energy user sector. 7, to optimize the utilization of domestic energy resources to minimize import. Number 8, to deploy energy technology with low energy intensity and emission. 9, to diversity energy resources. 10, to optimize energy provision in terms of cost and carbon emission. 2 tools and macro assumption. The first is the population growth and product domestic brutto per domestic per capita. Product domestic brutto per capita. We prepared. We have 2 scenario. Low scenario is average. Low scenario average 5.42, and high scenario is 5.9%. And important, I think, special in this IPA program, special for oil company. Right now, we, I think, Pak Soetjipto already have data about how our reserve, profit and potential, and lifetime of profit and resources. So we prepare this government, this PP or government regulation. Based on oil, we have again lifetime profit again 5 years, 9 years, and gas again 17 years, and coal again 59 years. But next slide, I think. Ini. Oke. Ya. Saya enggak lihat. Iya, saya enggak lihat juga. Enggak kelihatan. Nah. Oh iya. Iya, next slide. Indonesia Energy Transition Scenario proposed policy to support net zero emission 2060 target. Transportation. Next slide. Next slide. No, next slide. Next slide. No, before. Oh yeah. No. Next slide, because this is too much. Yeah, next slide. Yes, okay. Transportation. Utilization of biofuel, biodiesel and biogasoline to road transport, bioafter for air transport, and adoption to electric vehicle, motorcycle and car and bus to road transport, adoption of hydrogen fuel cell for light-duty truck, and adoption of natural gas vehicle. Industry high temperature industry process fuel switching from coal to gas and biomass, electrification and energy conservation, utilization of low carbon technology like CCS and CCUS, low temperature industrial process, electrification, energy conservation program, and residential cooking fuel switching from LPG to induction stove, city gas, DME, and biomass, energy conservation program, adoption of high energy efficient appliance, commercial fuel switching from LPG to gas and from oil, petroleum product to biofuel, and energy conservation program, adoption of high energy efficient appliance. Next. Final energy demand. Based on RPP right now, we prepare final energy low scenario. We can look electricity 247 million ton oil equivalent total, and high scenario is 276 million ton oil equivalent. Next. Primary energy. Next. Yeah. Primary energy mix for low scenario until 2060, we need oil include LPG average 5% and natural gas average 15% until 2060. But we use oil and gas, but include technology, use CCS and CCUS. And also, Indonesian energy transition strategy based on availability, accessibility, affordability, sustainability, and competitiveness. I think the important only that enough, I think, and we can continue.
Okay, so thank you so much for your presentation. We will have time later on for discussion and answer. So we will proceed for now. If Pak Dadan, the question will be later, Pak, after we all finish. So please join me in thanking, providing applause for Pak Musri. Pak Dadan. Pak Dadan is, of course, everybody knows as Secretary General of Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources, and previously for Director General for New Energy and Renewable Energy. And Pak Dadan is currently, he plays all the sectors, and including oil and gas. And don't worry, I think I can assure you we are in good hands. And then it's also our duties to support him in so he could be successful in, being an acting Director General of Oil and Gas currently. So, Pak Dadan, I think you could start with your presentations.
Terima kasih Pak Wawan. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang. Very good afternoon. I will start with providing you with the historical data. I don't have any introduction on this, so I will start with the data first. I don't know, you think this data is good or not? But in the beginning, my minister said, and also Pak Soetjipto, many people saying that our target is to have 1 million barrel in 2030 and another 12,000 in in 2030 for gas. Yeah. But let's see the number. Let's see the graph. The graph for the first one is declining, and for the other one is relatively stable for that part. I used to be the DG of renewable energy some years back. So I keep saying that this is the good thing for us in combination with the challenge. The first graph, this is not good, of course, because we are not ready to shift into the new low clean energy. So we have to work on this, of course, and all agree in every IPA meeting that we keep reminding each other that the target is that part, 1 million. And how to go to that part? I think it is impossible, Pak Wawan, to achieve the target. No, I am not finished yet with the sentence. It is impossible to reach the target without the exploration, without the unconventional. So let's move forward to the business as usual that we have probably currently. Well, we aware that there are a lot of discovery, a lot of progress. The president went to Papua to BP Tangguh. I think there is a lot of progress, but that's not enough to keep the sustainability, to keep our energy security, in particular for oil. But the good thing, I think, for the gas. So in bahasa, I said, ini alam ini sudah didesain sangat baik. So we start with the energy transition, putting the gas in the transition, and we have more gas recently. I will show you the data that the ministry currently have, and the production is in the good trend that this is increasing. That's the first one that I will start with this slide, and then follow with the other numbers, the other graph. I think those are very familiar with you, but just to say that we just half of those that we have currently. From 128, we just in half, 68. So we still have another 50%. Another 50% probably is not up to 2060. We are going to use this kind of the resources, I don't know to when, but we need this for oil, for fuel, we need this for chemical, we need this for material, we need this also to support the agriculture, in particular for fertilizers. So we have to move on this part. I like this map very much, because this is a good distribution in terms of the discovery. So from our very western part of the islands of the country to Sumatra, North Sumatra, or even Aceh, and going to very eastern part of the country. So it shows that we are not only rich in terms of renewable, we are rich also in terms of the oil still in that part. So this will go in combination to have the sustainable growth of Indonesia. So I give you the first optimism in terms of the oil and gas business. Well, most of us probably engineer here, so talking in terms of the number, talking of the graph. See here in the last 3 years, the graph in terms of the new and oil and gas working area sign, it is jumping. 2 years ago it was 5, and last year in combination with what we had today is going to, it is 13. So a lot of progress currently on that part, and also 34 POD1 has been signed, 27 for ED1, and the 7 is the revision. I think those are showing that we are working very hard on that part, and we are close to the result. So in terms of policies, Pak Dwi has mentioned in terms of the breakthrough from the regulator, from the SKK, and this is the one that I think I mentioned some earlier in the morning. The first is the contract flexibility. The other, we have new block policy. We put more also specific incentive into the unconventional gas, unconventional oil. For this, in order to reach the one that I saw you earlier, to reach beyond 1 million production. We provide also the easiness in terms of the data facility. We have here also Pak Agus Aca used to be the Pusdatin, and we are promoting also to share this kind of data facility. The upstream incentives, I said in the morning that the ministry is welcome to have the discussion in terms of incentives and others, together also with SAK, and also supported with other line ministries. We are currently also revising the regulation, I think the government regulation number 53. So we start on that part also. In order also, it's only to boost the production, but also to start with the new way of implementation, combining with CCS and CCUS. For me, that's no. I think no is the time is different. That the massa is different. No, we cannot say that no. I want to do without CCS. I think that's not the answer for the new project. So we have to go to the part. Whatever the project, whatever the difficulty, because without that, I think it's hard to move. That's why Ibu Kati, Ibu Carole, we are working with the Ministry of Finance on how to have the, I say like this, the sharing the risk, we are sharing the benefit. Because now the basic requirement of the development then should be with CCS. If not, then the project cannot be started. So I think Pak all some are listed already in the morning. So I think I will stop here.
Okay.
So,
thank
you
you
for
Pak Dadan.
listening. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
I think we're gonna move on to the third speaker. Pak Yus, silahkan.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, good afternoon, selamat siang, gentlemen. Thank you very much to giving this opportunity, Pak Wawan. I think what I want to talk about, I think, is aligned with what I've said during the opening remark, and then again, it will be echoing whatever that Pak Ministers have mentioned, Pak Chief has mentioned, Pak Kepala SKK Migas, and also Pak Dadan. So what I'm going to highlight today, we know that the oil and gas industry, we have an expectation. I'm coming from the industry as an IPA board members, as members of the IPA association. So we need expectation is the government of Indonesia support for attracting competitive global capitals. So importance of capital flow to Indonesia is very important. Although recent year you can see that capital injection has increased, Indonesia still required more injection to meet its production target, as what mentioned by Pak Dadan just now. Additionally, we are at the transition. Continued investment is needed to ensure energy security and sustain energy supply, while maintaining the target of reduction of emission for Indonesia. So in order to facilitate this transition effectively, of course we rely on government of Indonesia continuous support, and that's very important. So first of all, I would like to give a higher appreciation to the government of Indonesia for significant improvement, especially for the past 5 years. We received positive response from the industry, and it had impacted an increase of EMP investment or activities in Indonesia. So, highest appreciation for government of Indonesia, especially Minister of Energy and Mineral Resources, SKK Migas, ESDM, and also Migas as well, who has already been very open and taken step into several significant improvement in the policy, fiscal term, regulation, and initiative. But Dadan has mentioned in the slide. So all the things that I'm sharing here is actually aligned with what has been shared on the government side. Started in 2019, improvement on the data, open data policy. Pak Agus was one of the pioneer who helped us, all the players in terms of managing the Pusdatin improvement, data subscription system, improve process flow, and also heighten visibility not only to attract investor, and it was very crucial in terms of encouraging the increased exploration activity for the past 2 or 3 years. If you look at the fiscal term, as investor, we have observed government of Indonesia more open and adapt swiftly to the current competitive oil and gas sector. Numerous improvement and on the fiscal term, especially on a bid round term. You can see from 2021 onwards, there's a lot of improvement that has been shared by Dirjen Migas just now. There's a lot of in terms of term and condition, taking the risk factors of the block, geological, infrastructure, and resource risk. Other than introduction of the risk-based profit split, there has been a lot of fiscal term improvement as follow. The FTP improvement from 20 to 10%, full price for domestic market obligation, biddable signature bonus, exemption on the indirect tax, and some non-tax incentives like investment credit, acceleration depreciation, and others part of integral part of the POD submission or approval. In terms of regulation, I mentioned it before, there's a lot of regulation has been approved. MR 35/2021 on proposed block without joint study, ability to access larger acreage, and also ease of data access. GR 05/2021, ability to transfer firm commitment to open areas. I think this is the one that we experienced for Petronas and Exxon, where we managed to transfer our existing commitment to a new block that improve our way of doing things and proceed for a way of doing things in terms of new exploration at the open area. Also, of course, on the CCS regulation, as mentioned before, MR2 2023 and also the PR 14 2024. This is very huge and timely issuance of this presidential regulation has seen as very critical advancement in terms of regulatory development. As I mentioned it before, this is the first of its kind in Asia, as Indonesia is well positioned to be the regional leader in CCS, helping the region decarbonize while boosting its domestic industry and economy. So in terms of incentive or initiative, high commendable initiative by ministries of ESDM through their CAPMAN team. I think everyone heard about this Team 9, where the exploration task force for Eastern Indonesia, and recently they have done the Western Indonesia as well. And you can see there's a lot of huge interest by the companies, whether it's existing or new companies coming back to Indonesia, looking back at the eastern side of the Indonesia open area or the frontier, and also now looking at the more mature basin in the western front. So Indonesia has achieved notable success in enhancing the investment climate, but there's a things that we have to do more, right? So this slide is just summarize some of the things that we have been talking about for the past few years. I think Dirjen Migas has summarized it quite exclusively. We have talked about every IPA convention, every IOG, and certain other forum that we have through our engagement with Dadan Energy, with our DPR Komisi 7, yeah, and also with the government institution. These are the things that we can do more. And we continue to, as IPA, we will continue to engage with the right parties to discuss about things that matters to the industry. I think one of the things that we always talk about is on contract sanctity. We need to make sure sanctity of the contract, especially the PSC, in terms of the framework, and ensure that the contract sanctity underpin a long-term commitment and foster a conducive investment environment. I think we have talked about the last 2 years. Some of us, some of the players in the industry, we need to extend our PSC contract. And sometimes in the regulation, there's not much of a difference that we can do. So this discussion needs to be accelerated. I think currently, I think the players are talking to ESDM and SKK Migas in terms of how to amend the Capman on 2220 GR 36 2023 on how to improve on the PSC terms and condition that especially for the expired PSC. Also, one of the things that we need to discuss is on the fiscal term policy, fit for purpose, such as biddable fiscal terms. As you have seen, throughout the countries in Southeast Asia, there's a lot of countries is already moved forward into these biddable fiscal terms, and as we can share some of the data that we have from, for example, S&P Global. They have this attractive index that shows that Indonesia right now is only number 4 at the attractive index in Asia, yeah? And some countries such as Bangladesh, such as Vietnam, Thailand, and Malaysia have moved forward. If we see that Indonesia have progressed, improved for the last 5 years, they have moved more beyond that what we have done in Indonesia. I think we need to benchmark against what the other countries have done, and I think this is a discussion that we need to do from the players, contractors, and also the government, so we can make the country more investable and increase our investment index on this. And another thing that we have talked about for the last 2 years as well, I think my colleague here, when we are in Bali during IOG, we talk about this ring fencing, yeah, how to remove ring fencing to jumpstart exploration. I think right now there's a requirement, right? Only one PSC can handle exploration for each of the block. If the company is allowed to hold more than one PSC, all the expenses can be consolidated, and the tax accounting purpose, tax deductibility, I think this will be stimulating more interest and boost exploration activities in Indonesia. Again, a lot of improvement in terms of ease of doing business. We talk about this a lot also with SKK Migas and Migas. In terms of regulation, we are there. But how can we prioritize simpler, faster, and reliable licensing and approval process? This is very key, as we have shared during our conversation with SKK Migas during CEO Forum a couple months ago. So we need to streamline processes, enhancing flexibility, and cutting through a lot of red tape and eliminate unnecessary delay that hinder progress. I think this is very key in terms of expediting, because when we've been asked why the POD is slow moving, why the project is delayed, I think these are the things that we need to look at and focus more on for the future. In terms of field development and project acceleration, I think we have done a lot with Migas in terms of improvement of master list approval. Yeah, there's a lot of FGD, focus group discussion has been done, and there was a lot of forum that we discussed about this master list. And I know that some of the PSC contractors, they understand this, how critical of getting the approval of this master list going forward, especially on moving your projects to the first oil and first gas even faster. And last but not least, it's been talked about so much about CCS regulation. We already have the regulation, so now it's about how can we have a commercial attractiveness and regulatory support by the government, especially across ministry. These are the things that we discuss, not just with ESDM, but with MOF as well, on how can we make sure that CCS will be considered as production operation and cost recover. Okay, we can discuss more detail about this in a Q&A. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the next speaker, Ibu Carole. Please go to the podium. I cannot, with the permission of Bu Carole, I'd like to read one sentence of her CV that I have. In here, she said, she is an avid runner and is considering adding golf. I think she's already an expert in golf, no?
Yeah, mission accomplished.
Okay,
yeah.
Please.
Selamat siang. It's such a pleasure being here, feeling the buzz again of the IPA CONVEX. And I'll start by congratulating the organizing committee for such a beautiful event. It's only day one, but I think so far, so great. And it's really exciting to get the opportunity to tackle two important topics in one subject today. Topic number one, maximizing oil and gas production. Topic number two, decarbonizing. And I get the opportunity today to talk about both of them together. And that for me is really exciting. But let me start with a short story, a true story. About a year ago, I was invited to an event where I was a speaker. It wasn't an oil and gas industry conference. And I met another speaker whose passion, whose job was to preserve national parks in Indonesia. And we had fantastic conversations. I love nature. I love national parks. And so we exchanged on jungle and monkeys and how beautiful Indonesia is. And then she went, Bu Carole, how do you reconcile loving nature and being the president of an oil and gas company? And she didn't mean that in a negative way. It was actually quite a pleasant conversation. My response to her was simple. We can do both. And if there's one message that I want to leave you with today, it's exactly that. We can do both. Maximizing oil and gas production and decarbonizing. I have a few slides for you today showing a few examples on how ExxonMobil is doing that. Not just in Indonesia, but around the world. Because ExxonMobil's approach on producing energy, affordable energy, and decarbonizing is consistent around the world. Emissions don't stop at the border. And as a global company, we tend to apply our practices around the world in a similar way. Now this slide, for those of you who've been to the IPA CONVEX before, last year, may look familiar. In ExxonMobil, we recycle. This slide was a slide that I showed last year. And it's still relevant. And it shows why it's important to do both, to maximize oil and gas production and decarbonize. Essentially, society needs energy, and energy demand is growing. That energy needs to be reliable and affordable. In the same token, we need to reduce emissions. And so the challenge for us as an industry is to maximize energy to feed the needs of society and reduce emissions. So how do we do that? Well, as an industry, we have a few levers, a few approaches that we can use to try to do that. On existing fields, production here on this slide, we show a few of the standards that we need to adopt. The first thing is we need to have zero routine flaring. That's very important from an emission perspective. The second thing is we need to do everything we can to reduce emission and emission intensity in the fields that we're producing from today. And then the third thing that we can do with existing assets is to make them more reliable. Because when we have downtime events, typically we have flare, and flare is not good for the environment. So these are the standards that we, at least ExxonMobil, are trying to adopt in our existing assets. In the middle of the page, you see exploration, and that may surprise you because you're probably thinking, why do we need more oil in the context of reducing emissions? Well, what we find is by finding new oil, you can design new facilities from scratch, and those facilities tend to have lower emissions than more mature assets. And so by replenishing the portfolio with new oil and gas, we will progressively improve the emission intensity in our portfolio. And then number three, we have a key role to play because in industry, we have talent and skills which are quite important for the energy transition. Specifically, CCS and CCUS are areas where we have the skills to do that right. And that's another area where we can reduce emissions. So let me give just a few examples real quick of what ExxonMobil is doing, because all I've talked about is pretty theoretical so far. Well, the first slide that you see here is about existing fields and what we can do to reduce emissions. On the left-hand side, you see Banyu Urip in Indonesia. You can see that we have zero routine flaring at Banyu Urip. We've had zero routine flaring for many years now. We could produce more oil at Banyu Urip if we flared more, and we've decided not to do that. We've also reduced our greenhouse gas emission by 40% since 2016. And we have one of the most reliable assets in the world with 99% reliability. So with this type of asset, we are maximizing oil and gas production and reducing emissions. The example on the right-hand side is in the US, in the Permian. I'm not going to expand on this because I see I'm running out of time. But essentially, the message here, what we're doing here, we're doing that also abroad because emissions don't stop at the border. On the exploration side and the idea of replenishing the portfolio, again, what you see here on the left-hand side is Banyu Urip, where we're drilling, and we'll be drilling for 1.5 years. We're adding oil to Banyu Urip with zero added emissions, because the source of emission in Banyu Urip is essentially turbines, and those turbines will be running whether we drill or not. And so by adding fresh oil to the portfolio, we actually reduce the emission intensity. And then on the right-hand side, look, I couldn't be here without talking about Guyana. That's one of the most prolific basins around the world, and ExxonMobil has been really successful with exploration in Guyana. But that new production that we're finding in Guyana with the new facilities allow us to reduce emission intensity because Guyana facilities have 30% less emission than similar facilities around the world, just because we build it from scratch and we build it to have a lower carbon footprint. And then finally, talking about leveraging skills and talent, to try to reduce emissions. What we're working on in Indonesia is a CCS hub. We're partnering with Pertamina, and that's the picture you see here on the left-hand side. If you're really interested in this, it's a fantastic opportunity. If you're interested in this, please come back tomorrow, because there'll be more on Sunda Asri CCS hub tomorrow, or just come to our booth. Let me close by focusing on this beautiful picture on the right-hand side of this presentation. And essentially, what you can see on the slide is we're trying to preserve the economy while preserving a bright future for the environment and the community. Terima kasih. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Bu Carole. Now, last but not least, we're going to move on to Ibu Kathy. Kathy Wu is the President Director of BP. They made it wrong over there. Okay, please to the podium, and then she'll, after Ibu Kathy, we'll have the Q&A. So please, if you have any questions, submit it through the through the barcode that has been given to you earlier. Thank you. Bu, please.
All right. Hello, selamat siang, Honorable Pak Dadan Kusdiana, Acting Director General of Oil and Gas, ESDM, Pak Musri, Member of National Energy Council, Pak Widhyawan, Pak Yuzaini, Bu Carole, my IPA colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, selamat siang. It's a great pleasure to speak alongside the distinguished panel and how we can collaborate to ensure energy security, affordability, and sustainability for Indonesia and region. And in my presentation today, I will focus on BP Indonesia. As we've heard from previous speakers, oil and gas remain important energy sources for Indonesia to sustain energy security and orderly transition. Demand for oil and gas is projected to continue rising in growing economies such as Indonesia. And natural gas especially plays an important role as a transition fuel. Natural gas emits half of the carbon emissions of coal, and the carbon impact can be mitigated through CCS and CCUS. Having been operating in Indonesia for 55 years and counting, BP continues to support Indonesia's energy security and transition by focusing on natural gas delivery to meet the growing energy demand. We're very proud that Tangguh LNG is at the forefront of energy delivery for Indonesia. Tangguh now is fully established as a 3-train operation. We're producing 2.1 BCF a day, roughly a third of Indonesia's national gas production. Through the hard work of my BP colleagues and with strong support of ESDM, SKK Migas, and our Tangguh partners, we safely ramped up Train 3 to nameplate capacity in just over 6 months. We achieved this safe and fast ramp-up by focusing on safety and quality. Looking ahead, Tangguh's priority is maximize production, reduce emissions, and continue to explore. This is for us to grow our contribution to Indonesia's energy security and sustainability. First, we're progressing the Tangguh UCC Strategic National Project. In this project, we're developing new gas resources in Widhyawan field, onshore compression, and CCUS at Prawiraatmadja. The project will unlock about 3 TCF of gas resources while reducing Tangguh's greenhouse gas emissions by 40%. Second, we're investing in exploration at Tangguh. We're executing 3D seismic in North Widhyawan and evaluating development of gas resources from Paleocene. It's a new geological layer which we started developing as part of the Tangguh expansion project. We're also looking into ways to develop low-cost options to unlock more resources at Tangguh without compromising safety. So beyond Tangguh, we're investing in new exploration. At Agung 1 and Agung 2 blocks off the coast of Bali, we have acquired 3D seismic data in March this year, and now we're processing the data. At Andaman 2, we're supporting Harbor Energy, the operator, following the Timpan discovery in 2022, to develop most viable options for the gas resources. Looking ahead, the development opportunities for Tangguh may be more challenging than the prior ones, especially under the very tight supply chains and the current market constraints. Tangguh's challenge, to some extent, reflect the broader challenges we face for the oil and gas sector in Indonesia. New potential resources are technically more challenging, perhaps. Supply chains are tight, and global competition for capital is intense. This will require even stronger collaboration among all stakeholders to successfully unlock these untapped resources. So against this backdrop, transformation and collaboration are critical. As an industry participant, we were excited to see the new terms offered by the government in the bid opening this morning. Together, to achieve the production targets, we believe there are a few more areas we can continue to work together on, such as stronger collaboration in exploration, like we saw in the morning, in better data availability and accessibility, and we need to continue to improve cost efficiency and reduce the cycle time. All of these are enabled by a stable policy environment. As a PSC contractor, we rely on the support of government, on the confidence in the PSC in deciding our future investments in the country. From our point of view, perhaps a few measures for the government to kindly consider. One, a consolidated government support system to accelerate resource development, especially for strategic national projects. Second, in procurement space, we greatly appreciate SKK Migas' leadership in the application of techno-commercial evaluation for EPC tenders. Further flexibility in the implementation of the procurement process will help shorten the cycle time without compromising transparency and value. Number three, considering the long cycle times and uncertainty in the upstream development, certain aspects of PODs can perhaps be more adaptive in order to accommodate the evolution of the projects or other relevant external factors without sacrificing the economic value. So our success in Indonesia today would not have been possible without the strong leadership and support of the government of Indonesia. We thank sincerely ESDM Ministry, Pak Menteri and his team. We thank SKK Migas, Pak Kapala and his team, and all of the stakeholders for their strong support. We believe that foreign investors can have an important role to play in Indonesia's energy sector. We also hope that the next administration will build on the successes achieved under the current government and continue to champion FDI in the upstream sector. Let's all work together to support the delivery of Indonesia's energy security and energy transition for years to come. Terima kasih banyak.
Thank you, Ibu Kathy. We'll proceed with the question. If I may, I would like to ask the three gentlemen in the panel to address this particular question. Pak Musri, Pak Dadan, and Pak Yus. So I understand from the policy-making perspective that you need to also involve the stakeholders, and this particular thing is related to the IPA. This thing has been done, I mean, in terms of, for example, in getting all the information that you need for the projection for the net zero emission 2060, for example, Pak Musri, and also in terms of accommodating all the things that Pak Yus mentioned, Pak Dadan, in the case of policy making within the Migas and the ministry. And the question to Pak Yus, of course, later on, whether this has been, do you think is this the contributions of the industries through the associations such as IPA is already there, or it could be improved? Pak Musri, silakan.
Thank you, Pak Wawan, moderator. I will give explain in bahasa. Jadi tentang terkait kebijakan penggunaan pemanfaatan fosil, gas maupun terutama minyak bumi, itu sudah dibuat sedemikian rupa, itu sudah bahwa sampai dengan tahun 2060 itu masih kita lihat di sana ada sampai untuk gas sampai dengan 15% dan oil itu sekitar 5%. Tetapi ada catatan bahwa pemanfaatan itu harus disertai dengan teknologi pemanfaatan, katakanlah yang sekarang lagi populer, teknologi CCS, CCUS itu. Jadi itu yang menjadi patokan atau menjadi batasan ataupun ketentuan yang telah dibuat di dalam rancangan kebijakan yang insya Allah dalam pertengahan tahun ini akan segera diundangkan. Tetapi kalau kita dari segi volume saja, saya tambahkan saja yang lain bahwa sebetulnya walaupun itu hanya 5%, persen itu kan dihitung berdasarkan total kebutuhan daripada energi primer kita. Nah kita lihat volume yang 776 million ton oil equivalent, itu berarti sekitar 38,8 million ton oil equivalent. Itu cukup besar bila dibandingkan dengan volume yang ada saat ini. Yang saat ini hingga saat ini kita mungkin hanya sekitar 300-an million ton oil equivalent manfaatan atau energi mix kita.
Dalam penyusunannya sudah melibatkan para stakeholder termasuk IPA, Pak?
Ya, termasuk. Jadi IPA kita sudah juga baik itu draft kita sudah sampaikan ke mereka dan kita sudah undang diskusi juga di kantor dan semua kita akomodasi terkait tadi apa yang disampaikan oleh saya tadi sampaikan bahwa draft yang saat ini sudah di dalam tahap harmonisasi itu sudah mengakomodasi seluruh lembaga-lembaga termasuk terutama IPA dan juga bahkan bukan hanya di IPA-nya tapi juga yang terkait dengan pengusahaan di sektor hulu seperti HAGI, IAGI, itu semua dilibatkan dengan maksud bahwa kita berharap bahwa meskipun secara persentase kecil, tetapi juga kita berharap bahwa itu tidak akan mengurangi peran daripada para tenaga ahli atau para pekerja yang bergerak di bidang oil and gas di waktu yang akan datang.
Pak Dadan, untuk ya.
Ya, terima kasih Pak Wawan. I think in the preparing the regulation, Pak Yuzaini also to ask the proposal, the input of the some aspect in the initiative to be considered in the regulation. And I think my first answer, of course, we are inviting all the input and also contribution from the stakeholders, of course. Even the second one is that I would like to be actively contribute in the process. Yeah. Say, for example, Pak Yuzaini said that the revision of regulation of the government regulation has taken for 2 years. You said 2 years. So he knows already that we are in the progress in that part. We have some issues to be solved with other ministries, and I think IPA can take also more contribution on this, because the issue of oil and gas is not only the issue of the million barrel oil per year or million barrel oil per year, But this is also the issue of the government revenue, the issue of the local government also, and other issue in relation with the environment, for example. So we have to be much more closer in this part, and we go then as one team to see the solution on the part. This is the proof that I use IPA to solve the issue power one. Tomorrow we will have the special session on CCS. We will be discussing the ministerial regulation as the follow-up of the president's regulation on CCS. Of course, we have the draft, but I do believe that the stakeholders knows better than the government on the very technical issues. So, how much actually is the storage fee, for example? I have no number yet. Whether I don't know, $2, $3. I don't know yet on that part. So, we would like to have that number coming from the stakeholders, and then we will be discussing on that part and go to the solution for the ministerial regulation. I know, for example, Ibu Carole has the number on this.
Pak Yus, silakan.
Thank you very much for the question. I think Pak Musri and Pak Dadan has summarized in terms of what we can do together. And as I mentioned in my presentation, we have seen a lot of improvement. Yeah, we need to be fair at both parties, whether it's investor side or the government side. We have seen a lot of improvement. And when we talk about collaboration, fostering collaboration require proactively defining clear roles and responsibility for all, right? So, and then you have to be fair and equitable. So, as Pak Dadan mentioned, IPAs and all the other players and association need to come together. We have a common goal, right, to the target, whether the target of the 1 million barrel, 12 BCF per day, and also the net zero carbon emission. It have to come together, aligned with what our theme of this convention. So I believe we recognize that, both parties recognize that, and during, I think when we talk about listening to the stakeholders, I think we have done so well. We have improved. We have common FGD when we have any problems. Yeah, listening to each and BSC contractors, business contractors, and also all the stakeholders. Right, even the BUMD, even all the stakeholders that in the communities. What we can do more, right, is about continuous improvement, about listening, and I think we have to have a concerted effort. I think one of the comments that we have during our CEO forum within all the 3KS and SKK Migas is about sometimes everyone have a similar problem, but everyone come individually to the government, right? They come to Pak Dwi, they come to Pak Dadan, or previously Pak Tutuka, or even Pak Menteri. But how about we have a concerted effort? We list down, right, together. Okay, how many companies have the same issue? For example, on PSC extension or a short duration PSC extension. These are the one that is currently we need that, and we have been postponing this because some of the investors need this in terms of some of the economic limit of our PSC are expiring soon, and it's been delayed. So I think that issue alone, we have about 9 or 10 companies that having that problem. Let's work together. We can use IPA, we can use whatever avenue, work together, and then presented that to Pak Dwi and presented that to Pak Dadan, and I think we can find a solution together. That's just one of the example.
Okay, Pak Dadan, is it okay to ask you one more questions? One more question, yeah, because he has to leave. All right, the questions coming, I think from, I don't know, but it was pop up to me, and then the question was about the, in terms of monetizing the gas, Pa. and also in terms of meeting the demand that has already been presented by Pak Musri. What would be in the case when the economics requiring PSC to export the gas? And the second one is, if the gas is not available domestically, would be the user be importing gas? Is it going to be allowed or not? I mean, that is the question. Sorry if to put you on the spot on this, but that was what came up from the thing for you to answer. Thank you, Pak Dadan.
Yes. Terima kasih Pak Wawan. I think the answer will be depend on such situation at that time. Yeah. So both are possible. I mean, you ask for the export. Yes, it is possible, of course, because we don't have enough storage for gas. So once it is produced, then it has to be delivered to the customer, for use, for example. But from time to time, we are increasing domestic use on this gas. So I think on that part, for the contractor, you don't have to be worried at all on this part. If you have more gas, believe me that there will be buyer on that part. So, the second, whether is it possible to import for gas, so far we are managing the combination between domestic and export. I think so far no issue, even though recently I think within this month there are some issues on the use of gas for industry. We are currently working on that because of the little bit decline in terms of the gas salur, we say, not only in production. But I think so, in terms of the regulation, both are possible.
Thank you so much. Pak Dadan, okay, we let Pak Dadan go because he has to catch a flight. So I think the plane will not wait for him. So thank you so much, Pak Dadan. Okay, I think I would like to ask the questions to Ibu Carole and Bukati, if okay. I mean, the strategy in terms of moving forward from these major oil companies, we see different ways of trying to meet the quote-unquote demand by the stakeholders and also the shareholders, especially the activist one. Is that something which you will have to, for sure, considering not only the economics, but in terms of addressing the carbon things and also the carbon footprints? Does it actually make your portfolio investment differ, and then how it's going to affect the upstream side of the business that what you do? Go, Carole. Yeah.
You can hear me.
Yeah,
okay.
it's on.
Yeah, terima kasih Pak Wawan. Thanks for the question. I think BP is transitioning ourselves from an integrated oil company to an integrated energy company. And at the highest level, our responsibility to the society is to deliver the energy the world needs. And we all have been talking about the trilemma. So it is security and the reliability will make it affordable. And we must not stop there. We need to make sure the energy is sustainable. Sustainability comes from all sources. We are decarbonizing our operations, as I've said in my remarks, and BP globally is putting significant investments in low carbon energy, new sources of energy, hydrogen and solar, wind, renewables, and of course, CCS and CCUS. So all of these projects need to compete to make our economic threshold to deliver value to our shareholders. At the same time, we need to try everything we can through collaboration, technology, innovation to really fulfill our ultimate responsibility to the society, which is to make sure the energy security will be maintained and transition will be done in an orderly way.
Great. Carole?
Yeah. Is it on? Yeah. So from an ExxonMobil perspective, I guess we're driven by the fundamentals. Every year we do what we call an energy outlook. We look at supply and demand. We forecast what the world will need. And then as a company, we try to meet that need that society has. And it's true that society is a little bit unclear right now as to where it's heading. And for us as a company, it creates a little bit of uncertainty. What we've done as a company is we've set up different business segments, one of which is focused on oil and gas. The other one is focused on low carbon solution. These two businesses are investing as we speak. If society wants more oil and gas, we're happy to invest more into our oil and gas business. If society wants more energy transition, we're happy to invest more into our energy transition business. For the time being, it's an and equation. We're investing in both because we're not quite sure we're ready to stop oil and gas. Society still needs oil and gas today. We recognize the need for energy transition, and we're investing in energy transition. But again, society will drive when we pivot from oil and gas to more energy transition.
If I may, to have a follow-up questions. How does Exxon see Indonesia exploration prospectivity, and has Exxon considered adding gas to Indonesia portfolio?
Oh, I don't know who asked that question, but thank you. Thank you for that question, because that's a topic really dear to my heart. It's probably not well known, but ExxonMobil is active in exploration in Indonesia. Last year, we started exploration again in Indonesia, and we're looking at 1.2 million square kilometers of acreage in Indonesia, from Sumatra to Papua. And we're trying to see if we can find new world-class assets like Banyu Europe. You know, there's, I hear a lot of, well, ExxonMobil is all about oil in Indonesia. That's probably because today the big asset that we have is an oil field, but we're not ruling out gas. What we're looking for is assets which are competitive versus the other assets that we have globally, and a business environment that's friendly to investors.
To be fair to Ibu Kati, perhaps, I mean, you already done the CCUS part on the current operations. Would you also consider this going to be a CCS hub in the future?
The answer is yes, and we have a role to start from our own operations to decarbonize. As I mentioned, our CCUS project will reduce the Tangguh LNG energy carbon intensity by 40%. So that's step one. And we have a responsibility to continue supporting the government and to realize Indonesia's potential. We're up to 400 gigatons of storage potential. Not every country has that. And how we can work together to build as many CCS hubs as what the market would be able to enable, and to help the whole region decarbonize and build Indonesia to be a region leader in CCS space.
Thank you Bu Kati. Kalau boleh ke Pak Musri sekali lagi, dan nanti ke Pak Yus. Pak Musri, for the asumsi yang diambil untuk oil and gas itu adalah tentang dari domestik saja supply-nya atau juga dari luar?
Jadi asumsi soal supply dimulai dari demand, jadi kebutuhan perkembangan, kira-kira perkiraan kebutuhan. Nah sekarang soal supply dilihat existing reserve. Jadi tadi seperti saya sampaikan bahwa kalau tidak ada eksplorasi atau tidak ada penemuan baru, maka mungkin untuk oil itu kita hanya memiliki waktu untuk saat ini. Jadi belum kita hitung pertumbuhan kebutuhan, mungkin kita tinggal memiliki cadangan yang proven itu sekitar 9 tahun lagi. Nah, ini tentu tantangan bagi para industri untuk melakukan discovery yang baru. Demikian pula gas. Nah, demikian pula gas, meskipun kita mengatakan bahwa kita memiliki sejumlah potensi, tapi sebetulnya kalau kita lihat pertumbuhan demand kita yang tadi kalau kita lihat dari 300 sekitar 314 kemudian ke 776, kita masih membutuhkan 2 kali lipat dari kebutuhan energi primer kita saat ini. Itu artinya bahwa tentu DEN tidak memiliki kapasiti untuk menentukan berapa tersedia, tapi kita mengacu kepada data yang ada. Nah sekarang tinggal tugas daripada penyedia bagaimana memenuhi kebutuhan itu. Ini sudah dilakukan pemodelan bahwa kebutuhan energi di masa yang akan datang seperti itu. Itu yang pertama. Yang kedua tentunya ini kalau tidak ada penemuan baru, maka berarti mau atau tidak ya kita harus import kalau ada. Isu yang menjadi masalah adalah bahwa tentu kalau itu import ya akan mempengaruhi berbagai hal terhadap perekonomian negara. Saya pikir begitu.
Terima kasih. To Pak Yus, you are the president of IPA, and IPA being a corporate citizen, how you see your role in terms of supporting government policy in the energy transition for making sure that the IPA is together with the government trying to optimize the production of gas coming from all your members, because this is what is the immediate need that is need to be there, provided by the oil and gas players, and also in terms of the longer term, because you need to also support the aspiration of the government for the decarbonizations in economic development. How would you see yourself, for example, yes, CCS, CCUS, and also whether there are other things such as, any of your members going to go and find hydrogen, for example? I don't know. What would you be commenting on that?
Okay. The first step of the question, right? In terms of the strategy of each of the company, is all depend on the target that you have set in the company. I think every IOC or every NOC have their target, whether you are targeting net zero carbon emission by 2030, 2050 or 2060. So you have to align with your strategy. Ibu Carole mentioned about right now the equation is N. You do increase your production while you reduce your carbon emission in your operation, and also looking at a side business or adjacent business on decarbonization. But certain company like the NOC also, they have to look at what is the energy security for the country that they supported. In Indonesia, Pertamina, for example, or Petronas in Malaysia, PTTEP in Thailand, we have the aspiration and the target to support the government, right? So you need to ensure energy security first, and with a just transition, and align with that decarbonization on the strategy. I think everyone have that energy transition strategy, right? And then just maybe to quote Petronas on our way of looking these 3 different methods, right? The core business have to be sustainable, has to be a cash generator, while you look at the adjacent business, the new business, like you mentioned about the hydrogen, the solar, geothermal and whatnot. So everyone, I think in the world, whether you are IOC or NOC, looking at this adjacent, because we need to prepare. At one certain point in time, everyone needs to be clean, right? Whether the country regulation, the policy, or because the earth or the world need it. and also it's tied in everything to the net zero carbon emission target. So I think for the companies here in Indonesia, we adopt whatever that our HQ has subscribed to in terms of our investment criteria, and I mentioned it again about the attractive index. When we want to deploy capital and select the country that we want to invest, we want to make sure that the country is at the top of the table in terms of ease of doing business, the fiscal term improvement, and also how can we work together with that country towards based on what Dewan Energy National have laid out, right? For example, for Indonesia, what is the energy mix? Do we still need fossil fuel for the next 10 to 15 years? Or are we going to cut down emission to zero by 2030, 2060 or whatnot? So that's require a lot of discussion, right? And a lot of portfolio maneuver between each of the companies and also with the country. I think that's why the synergy and the collaboration between each of the stakeholders is important. So that IPA is at the center of it. We want to be prominent advocator with the government to ensure that whatever policy that the government or especially government of Indonesia wants to do, right? Whether it's coming from Minister of Finance, whether it's coming from ESDM, or we're coming from Kemenkumham, we need to sit together and ensure that it's aligned with the energy security and also the target of energy emission. So that's very important for all of us.
Thank you. So I go back to the plan from the original. So I'll give the last words for Bu Carole and Bu Kati for 1 minute and remarks so we can end the session.
So thanks everyone for the opportunity to have the dialogue. I think this is a continuous dialogue and everyone recognizes the significant improvements and progress Indonesia has made, and Indonesia has huge potential, and everyone in the industry, the broader energy industry, the energy community have a responsibility to make sure the energy transition as we move into the next few decades is going to be a future where we can ensure the energy is delivered, energy security is secured, it is delivered, and also we need to do everything we can to innovate, to use technology, to develop new technology, so then better solutions for a more sustainable future can be here with us to serve ourselves and our future generations. And I think today's conversation is one of the many. And on one hand, we really applaud Indonesia government's strong support. At the same time, as industry participants, we remain very committed in supporting Indonesia to deliver this very important and honorable goal for Indonesia and for the world community.
Carole?
I guess from an ExxonMobil perspective, I'll just say that we're very excited with the opportunities ahead here in Indonesia. We are very busy in all business segments. We're drilling in Banyu, Europe. We're doing exploration. We're looking at energy transition. And so we see a lot of great opportunities ahead. And I think the collaboration from the government over the last few years has been tremendous. And it has helped us get into that movement of trying to bring investments into Indonesia. And so I guess for me, the key word is excitement. And if there's really one message that I want to leave you with, is the fact that our industry is an exciting industry to be in. Because not only do we provide the energy that society needs, but we're also going to provide the solutions to energy transition. And so it's a great place to be. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Before I return back to the MC, please showing our appreciation to all the speakers this afternoon. Thank you. Back
Thank
to
you very much. What an insightful discussion. Once again, Bapak Widhyawan Prawiraatmadja, thank you for leading such an interesting discussion just now. And to all distinguished guests, Bapak Ibu yang terhormat, ladies and gentlemen, we had a thoughtful presentation and discussion. Insights as well from all of our respectable speakers. On behalf of the committee, would like to thank all of our guests and speakers for attending the session. And for this, would like to invite Bapak Kian to give memento to our distinguished speakers. Please kindly come to the stage, Bapak Kian, to give a memento to all of our speakers and moderator for the day. Yes, and one more for the speaker and as well as the moderator. And for this, we'd like to invite everyone for a photo opportunity. Let's have photo session now. Allow me to count up from 1, 2, 3 with a big smile and another one. You can do a different pose, actually, ladies and gentlemen. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. Thank you, speakers. Thank you, moderator. Thank you, Bapak Kian. You may all return to your seats. And ladies and gentlemen, let's give one more time a big round of applause for the 2 sessions we had in this plenary today. So just now we had our discussion on oil and gas industry transformation to support achieving 1 million BOPD and 12 BSCFD gas for 2030 and longer-term decarbonization target. And that session includes today's plenary session. Tomorrow we'll have another and other interesting topics. We'll start at 9 a.m. in the morning, and we're looking forward for everyone to attend tomorrow's plenary session as well. And for now, save the energy for tomorrow. My name is Rahma Alia. Thank you for the participation, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of the afternoon. See you on the second day of IPA exhibition and convention tomorrow. Bye-bye.